Okay, good. I have to share my screen as well. Thanks everyone for joining today again. This will be the second session and the last session for this Life Science Cloud. So before I start today's session, I just want to quickly recap what we discussed last week. So we'll spend few minutes on that and then we'll move to the topics of today. So last week we looked at the different data models. We looked at what LSC is about, what it is bringing to the table, and we also looked at the different data models, basically, right? So yeah, we there are three or four different modules that we've touched upon. First one was clinical engagement, which showed us like how the adverse event will be taken care of, how we'll manage the different participants for clinical trials, and as well as we have seen some regulatory requirements around clinical engagement. Then we looked at customer engagement. Customer engagement was more about the ACPs and ACOs managed in the territories. So we also looked at those data models, and we also looked at the patient engagement data models, which basically brings in the care program management. And we also looked at the medtech commercials in the during the end part of the session, where we quickly touched upon like for clinical devices or the medical devices and diagnostic companies how they manage all of those through visit and so on. So I'll quickly give a brief summary as well, like what are those different individual modules or the key topic that you need to focus on for your exam as well as in the real projects as well. So you need to know more about adverse events, like where certain unintended signs and symptoms come in, how you manage them within Life Science Cloud. That's really important. You need to also look at the participant management, like what are the different regulations it must follow, because in many cases, in many of the studies, you need to share those informations electronically to some other government institute or your peer for your peer review and so on. So that information needs to be shared. So it's good to look at how that data model is managed within Life Science Cloud. Also look at the site management, like what are the different sites or how you manage the visits and so on. So it's also important to have a look at. Um, yes, and from the exam point of view, I think there are some licenses that you need to enable, which will bring these data models to your org. So good to look at which objects are available at which version and which permissions it's required for what entities and so on. I'll not go through all of these again, the data, the standard objects, but yeah, I'll share also this document after this session so that you guys can also have a look by yourself and you can use it as a cheat sheet. But I would always say, like, look at the official document, not at my notes that I prepared because it gets obsolete every now and then because new things are coming up. So you need to always look back to the official document for the final glance, basically. Moving on to the customer and clinical engagement, we also spoke about like how you maintain the ACP and AC relationships, the territory management, and so on. So in the Viva world, there is a separate product called Realign, which manages all these relationships with territories and so on. Uh, but in Life Science Cloud, how you manage them is also really important from uh, your service point of view. So the medical reps and the key account managers will be assigned to certain territories, and these are all aligned around territories within LSC Cloud. And then any changes that are required for any of the ACPs and ACOs are managed by a data change request. So good to know like how the merge management will work because many of our admin works are around that topic. And then look at the territory management. So in admin console, there are a few setups it's good to look at, like how you realign your territories, at what frequency those jobs runs and so on. So it's really good to know like how that data management will be managed from admin console. I'll also touch upon it in our today's session as well. Um, then we also spoke about the visit management, remote engagement, and sample management. So these topics are around like how you plan how our participants will uh, visit the healthcare facilities like the sites, and how you'll manage all of those activities, like the follow-up sessions and so on through visit management. We also spoke about sample management quite a lot last week. So the sample management is more about the free sample that the AIMers give to the doctors, and I'm sure there are many questions in the exam around this topic. So it's really one of the key topic for the exam point of view. And yeah, um, so around 15% of the exam will be based on basically this topic. And then, yeah, as we are all aware, like most of the or all of the Salesforce products are now AI powered. So good to know all the AI capabilities it brings to the table to know like, okay, these are the different things that you can do with, uh, yeah, with LSC basically. Then I'll just scroll through quickly. We spoke most of it. Yeah, I think good to know about the list and filters on your account management in the account graph, like how you manage them, because in the viewer world it was managed differently, and there are dynamic filters which automatically updates, so you can create some nice visual around account hierarchies through list and filters. So it's good to know. We'll also touch upon the mobile sync, so I'm not touching it now. Just scrolling through all the things that we discussed last week. If anyone has any questions around the topic that we discussed last week, please raise your hand or post it on the chat so that I'm aware, like, if there are any questions around the topic that we spoke about last week. Okay, I think, yeah, more or less, these are the most key topic, I would say. I'm just scrolling it through, to be honest. And yeah, here you have some quick reference for the exam prep as well, like what are those topic means and so on. I will just scroll it through. I think that's all. Um, and then coming back to today's topic, if there are no questions on the chat, let me check quickly. Chat window. Okay. So today what I want to cover is more about how you set up LSC org, what are the different options you have available in the setup. In order to do that, so there is a specific guide for it as well. So these are maintained under this document list. Uh, I'll paste it over the chat as well so that you can refer to the official document. And also, like me, I like to look at the documentation in PDF, because in Salesforce there is a strange way of like navigating the entire chain. Sometimes it becomes overwhelming for me to know like which link to look at, and I lose track because there are multiple links available, and then you just uh, divert away from it. So what I generally do is I go to this help.com sites, help.salesforce.com sites, where you find the PDF version of these documents as well. So just as you can see, uh, so as you can see, right, like there are multiple documents available for health cloud related topics. So I try to download them and try to read through a PDF, because for me, I stay focused on the PDF and understand what it is and so on. So it also helps me. So I'll go through that as well in this session as well. Like I downloaded one of these like Agent for Life Science setup. I think it should be somewhere here. Yeah. So yeah, this is again a big document. So try to use your favorite AI tool to summarize it. The way I use it mostly, like I give this document to an AI tool to summarize it and try to ask me questions based on the summary and so on. So that way I can digest a lot of information in a small amount of time. But with the use of AI, also be aware of the hallucinations, right? So you have to always cross check against the real document to validate all the information that is provided to you is correct or not. So yeah, I will quickly run through the official site and then refer back to the document as and when it is required. So what Salesforce recommends basically is every time you want to implement customer engagement, that should be a fresh org, meaning you should not have any other customizations or configurations already available in that org at that point of time. I'm sure there will be a lot of companies who already has brownfield implementation. So there, I would recommend like, okay, take support from Salesforce to understand like how or what are the different configurations that might impact you, right? And for example, like person account, if it is not enabled, you have to enable it, and it might have adverse effect on your current setup that you already have in the application. So it's good to look at your current implementation and make sure it does not break any of the existing functionalities if it is a brownfield implementation. But what I read so far is if it is greenfield, it is easier to implement and so on. So take that into consideration while setting it up. So once you have that set up, so then there are few steps that you need to be aware of. So I think I have that uh, documented here. Yeah, so there will be a managed package that is coming as part of the customer engagement. So it is not in Core Cloud yet. And there are two permission sets. So if you want to implement a PDO like or a SDO org, so be careful that you have those two permission set available in your org. Otherwise, your installation will fail. And that is why I could not show you a real org, because for me, one of the permissions that is missing. So I'll exactly tell you about those two permission sets. It org it is where indeed. So you need to have these two permission sets available in your org. So if you do not have one of those permission set in your org, then your installation of the managed package will fail basically. In my case, like I do not have this enabled in my org at this point, and that's where I think there is support case raised, and they're looking into it to enable this. But again, like if you want to do some hands-on or do some practice, uh, mm, plan it beforehand, because Salesforce support sometimes take a few minutes, few days, and also you might have to reach out to your um, account team as well if certain things does not work out. And then you have to install that managed package. So they will provide you a link where you can install it, and you can also find it here for the latest copy of the installation URL. And of course, like if it is a practice environment, right? So better to do it in a test environment. I don't think I have to mention it, but yeah, do it in your test environment. Validate all the things that are working fine and not working, for example, and then only then move it to the production environment. And then there are mobile related features as well. So all of these, most of these are available in your admin console basically. So be sure, like go through all the different concepts of admin console, like what are the things that are available and so on, and what are the things that are not. So there are different options, like you can create metadata cache configuration. So yeah, and all of these things will start as you can see from admin console. So you will have an admin console where you will have a mobile specific features available, and there you have to configure a mobile cache, and that cache will be then pushed to the people who have installed the mobile app in their from the App Store or from Google Apps or Play Store, depending on the platform that the mobile device is. And then you can assign different profiles to those cache configurations as well. And then you will have different application settings available as well. Like certain uh, features will be available online, certain features will not be available online. So anything that is done offline will be synced back to the online as soon as the mobile devices are available, or a network mobile device connects to a network. And there as well, like while you are designing your mobile journey, I would always recommend build for offline first, because many of the cases, many of these hospitals may not have good network coverage. Uh, Many of these EMRs may not have mobile network while they're interacting with the doctors and so on, right? So while you are designing your mobile journey, always focus on the offline capabilities first. Okay. So, and that comes with some challenges as well, like some of those capabilities will be limited. So I have tried to consolidate. Let me quickly check. Yeah. Uh, uh, yeah. Few things that are not supported mobile, like the standard Leafy component is not available mobile. Uh, you cannot have dynamic created list available in the mobile app. You cannot have any cinematics dashboard on the mobile app, so you have to use a Tableau Next. Uh, you cannot use dynamic account hierarchy, so you have to use a dynamic tree view with custom components and so on. If you have configured any of the screen flows, those are not supported in your mobile app, so be careful while you configure any of those flows. And then permission set groups are not supported, console app navigations are not supported. And again, AWS offline SQLite access are also not supported. So be careful, like what are the different things that are supported on your mobile app, and make sure you align your business beforehand. So there are a lot of expectation management as a consultant, that okay, these are the capabilities that you will not have in your mobile experience, and these are the things that you can do via your mobile app. So that separation is really important to know. Um, Going back, and then you will also have yeah, anything that you do offline. So you need to make sure you manage or synchronize those changes as soon as it comes online. So this is how it basically works. So as soon as the day starts, so you can plan your mobile app refresh from the admin console as well. So that mobile app will get the latest and greatest on a certain time of the day as soon as it comes online. So, for example, many of the cases you can do it just before their workout starts. So, for that entity, everything that is related to that specific agent, they can download all those data from Salesforce to the mobile app. So, basically, what I generally recommend is like you can do a full refresh on a uh, morning hours, like before your business starts. So you do a full refresh, and then onwards you can do a delta refresh, so that any changes that are done by the rep, either in the extra version or in the mobile app, gets keeps in sync throughout the day. Okay. So yeah, there is a concept of briefcase, so I'll not touch upon it in today's session. But yeah, good to know like how the briefcase can be optimized and configured well in the mobile app configurations as well. And those are specifically designed for uh, your offline journey, basically. So the full refresh will retrieve everything that is related to your territory into your mobile device, and then it will also upload any of the transactions logs and statistics to Salesforce as well. Like if you have any kind of errors, those are also logged within your admin console as well. So all the errors that are happening generally goes to event and monitoring log. Uh, and you can also view them like, okay, this is the reason why it failed, and these are the things that you might have to fix as well. So as an admin, someone has to validate like what are the different error logs that are happening to the end users. Admin can sometimes also force sync. For example, in many of the cases, let's say there is a release happening, and then yeah, you might want to set up a new metadata cache, because you might have updated a page layouts or a record, lightning record page and so on. So that you need to push to your mobile app. So in that case, admin can force sync as well on the profile level, so that uh, in the next run they get a full refreshed version of the uh, latest and greatest from the Salesforce. Here there is a comparison of the mobile app and the desktop site. So it's good to have an eye on it. To be honest, like what are the different things that are available in the mobile app? Like account plan, you do not have it on the mobile app, but available only on the desktop site. And anywhere these text fields are there, uh, be careful that okay, it will not be supported on the mobile app. It will be available as a plain text format with HTML tags, which looks really ugly. So be careful while exposing any rest area text fields on the mobile app. So you can have a separate page layout configured only for mobile related stuff, where you limit the number of fields as well, because it becomes a doom scrolling kind of a behavior if you have a lot of fields on the layout. And then the content wise, I think most of those are available in your mobile app as well as in the desktop site. So uh, there is not a lot of difference there. List and filters, there are few things that are not available, like you cannot download or export them as a CSV, which is available on the web. And yeah, lookup and rated fields rendering are also not available, if I remember correctly. Um Yeah, sometimes they don't appear on the mobile app, but available in the desktop version. And then I also wanted to touch about um, what are the things that you can configure. Wait, this part we have covered. Yeah. So once we configure all of these, right? So we have to assign or create custom profiles for customer engagement users. So what Salesforce recommend is don't touch any of the out of the box provided profiles or permission sets. You always clone them and then assign it to your set of users when you need to assign them. Okay, so do not touch any of the standard profiles by extending them or changing or removing any of the accesses, because if you do that, then it's very difficult or a painful process to revert those changes, and then some of the features may not be available anymore just because of that activity. So be careful about it. And then I will look back on my notes. Um, yeah. Yeah. Back to this. We'll go to account management features. So moving on to account engagement. So we looked at the data model last week. So where we had one account can have multiple addresses and so on. So we have to always define one of the accounts as the primary address. And you might ask, okay, there are multiple addresses available. What will happen if I choose many of them as primary? You can logically do it. And Salesforce will look at your last modified date to assume like, okay, this is the primary address because the last modified date is latest on that specific address. You can create custom formula fields. You can have your field level security on the account address. You can have um, account addresses configured, and all of those will be enabled via contact point address in in the data model point of view. So one account can have multiple contact point addresses, and each of those addresses can have a different level of consent. For example, as well as one of them should be primary, but you can also mark multiple of them primary by mistake or just because you are in a hurry. And of course, you can build some automation or write some flow on contact point address as soon as one of them is made as primary. If for that specific account, any other account or address is also made primary, you can just remove it from the system as well. Okay. And then you have to set up a base time for account addresses as well. Like at what point of time you should reach out or go to that specific address. So that is configured via base time parameters. You can have two or three different setup. One can be set up on the Oracle level. You can also have some unavailability time, or or you can also say like, okay, the healthcare providers base time. Like you always tell them or ask your healthcare provider what is the best time to reach out to you, because they're supporting or let's say they're visiting the patients. So they might say like, okay, at that point of time is good for me because I have less number of visitations at that point of time, or I may not have a lot of activities ongoing at that point of time. So you can reach out to me at that point of time. So as I said before at the beginning of it, right? So most of these configurations are done via the admin console. So it's always very, very important to know like what are the different capabilities in admin console available. And then, yeah, there are a few bad jobs. It's good to know, like, okay, these are the bad job. So, and there are some primary account trigger handlers, and you can extend those trigger handlers as well. So there will be some interfaces available to us as a developers or consultant. We can always implement those classes, and then with that we can also customize the behavior the way we want to based on our customers need. Okay, I'm just quickly run through it. Yeah, as I said before, right? So if there are multiple contact point address records are marked as primary, the job uses the last modified record marked as primary in those jobs as well. So that's the default behavior of these jobs as well. Um, And if there are no contact point marked as primary, then it will take the latest modified one as the primary record. And if no contact point address exists, then the preferred address field remains blank on the account. So yeah, these are the behaviors of this job. It's good to know how the job will behave depending on the data population in the system. And then, yeah, you can configure manual merge as well. So you can configure an action, and it's good to know that it comes under this namespace LSC4C. I think you will see at least one question in the exam based on this module, uh, which is the default module for Life Sciences Cloud namespace. And then it's also good to know the Connect APIs. It's not only for Life Sciences Cloud, it's also available for Industry Cloud as well. So the Connect APIs generally extend the Salesforce standard REST APIs with more business logic. So most of the business logics are configured inside this Connect APIs. And then this Connect APIs will you'll be able to extend your solution through that Connect API references as well. And there is a separate document altogether which talks more about what are the different available functions within Connect API. I'm going back to my note. Yes, we spoke about account merge. Also look at the account search. So again, it's also configured via admin console. So it will help you to configure different kind of a layout for different profile level and org level, and also by record type. You can also configure those layouts accordingly. And then you can also have an activity timeline, which will give you a 360 view of for the sales rep, camps, and MSLs. So yeah, you can configure them a different view because the priorities are different for the sales rep versus the key account managers versus the MSL. And also look at the affiliations. I will need to go through it as well quickly if I can. Let me look at. Yes. Yeah. So you can have different relationship graphs for different profiles and create custom graphs for a specific profile as well. So you can get some request from specific market that, okay, I want to view, have a different view or add some custom fields in my layout and so on. So all of those capabilities will be available via your account summation customization. So yeah, you can also enable templates and so on to configure some of these capabilities. But I did not see a lot of questions around specific to templates in the questions basically. Just running quickly. Yeah, so you can have some flows that will generate your territory summary. Um And Salesforce also provides some of the standard templates as part of the standard package, but you can always customize those templates according to our business needs if we have to. And yeah, as I said, right, Salesforce is bringing a lot of Agentforce capabilities for account summary. And yeah, you can configure or set up all of those. Um, you can create an agent for account summarization, where on the right side of your screen you will find the chatbot where you can ask like, okay, can you give me the key highlights of this account, and it will provide those. And you can also ask it to do few things like, okay, log a visit and so on. Okay, and then you can also create an account team. So um, those capabilities are also available. I'll not go through the exact setup step, but good to know that this account team will define like who and all can visit that specific account. You can add some members temporarily and so on, which will help them to view your accounts and make them available in their rated list and in the search filters and so on. I wanted to touch on the affiliations as well. So affiliations will indicate like how ACP is links to an ACO. Um, so there are some hard affiliations which um, associates a person to a specific location or an organization. And I will quickly show you. Yeah. So affiliations can have different table views or hierarchy views, which we can configure. We can add some custom fields as well if business ask, but all of those will be derived from yeah, basically the admin console where you will have to configure all of these capabilities. You have to create some field sets which are provided out of the box, and then there are some considerations to be aware of. Uh, so only the fields from provider affiliations objects will be supported. And in addition to default account and the related account fields, you can up to add up to 5 more additional fields. And you can have only one multi-select fields, and you cannot have a text area fields in that list of fields available in the affiliations. Um, and then, yeah, I'll not go through the field security. These are all permission attributes. You can have different pick list fields or pick list values customizations where you can set up for different pick list field what are the recommended pick list set of values. Most of these I don't think comes out of the box, so you can configure according to your need. Um, and yeah, look for adding and editing pick list values. These are all standard Salesforce stuff. Nothing really custom there. Yeah, there are some TT provider affiliation assignment rules. So you can run some rules based on these values. And yeah, for example, like the staff members will be always associated to the primary accounts and so on. So you can define those rules in the affiliation assignment rules. There are some bad jobs as well, just like our account management. And again, as I said before, you can extend this through an interface. But again, like I don't think from exam point of view, they are really important. So affiliation data load processor batch. So uh, it will set up the primary for the affiliations if the conditions are met, and it creates reverse affiliations for a given affiliation record. So if you link your ACP to the ACO, then it will create a reverse link as well as part of this batch job. And then, yeah, there is a sequencing as well. So you need to know like at what sequence you need to run these batch jobs. So you can run those batch jobs from your developer consoles to automate any kind of data realignments and so on. And if an affiliation already has a primary, it will update the primary flag as well in that affiliation primary batch. So we are almost at half time. Let's take a quick 5 minutes break. Okay, so we will connect back in exactly 5 minutes from now. Yeah, and then we continue. See you guys in 5 minutes. let's start. So the next topic that I want to cover is around engagement planning. So yeah, it basically optimizes your daily schedule and the key events. It manages the calendar and so on. So most of these modules are coming from scheduling. So Salesforce has a separate product for scheduling. But again, Life Sciences Cloud uses some of those capabilities. I think last week as well, I showed you from the data model point of view, what are the different entities that we cover as part of from scheduling versus what we get from Salesforce. Here, I think the key topics are around um, activity plan. So yeah, it basically gives a template for the sales rep to manage the field service activities, basically how they should interact with healthcare professionals, what kind of target they should try to fulfill in each of those meetings, what kind of outcome they're expecting out of those meetings, and so on. Okay, so I'll not go through the entire setup, but it's good to know or quickly glance through all the different terms, like what are the different activity types, what are the different channels and interaction types. Um, it's good to know because when you are taking the requirements or trying to help your customers around these topics, so they generally talk in these business terms. So it's good to know all the different useful terms that they're using. See, someone is trying to join it. Okay. Then I'll quickly go to time of territory. So people take off, so they need to log their time as well, right? So all of these things are managed by time of territory. So you have to follow uh, some setup, like get your org ready. I'll not go through those exact setups, but there are some territory time of territory rules that we need to be aware about. So again, like as I said, most of these things are configured via admin console. So in time of territory, you can set up different time of territory rules. And in that, you can configure what are the business hours, what are the non-business hours, what are the holidays, and so on. Okay, so you can configure different set of rules for different territories. You can have different set of conditions as well. So if you have a hands-on org, it's good that you configure at least one or two time of territory rules by yourself to have a feeling like how it will work all together in the real life. And then you can have a working the calculation on the activity plans. Uh, so yeah, it's you basically selecting time of territory and then select working day settings, and that will calculate like how much time your end users are working in the platform and so on. And it will also have a calendar view, so they can have some time blocked for travel, sometimes uh, uh, blocked for the meetings, and sometimes they can also block uh, calendar for just sending replies to the all the medical inquiries that they have got. And then I think the next key topic is around sample management. Um, yeah, um, it's also one of the key topic for the exam point of view as well. So it the sample management allows you to handle and distribute the drug sample to your ACPs. And in a regulated industry, you need to be sure like who has your samples, and you might have certain limits on like how much you can hand off to your ACPs. So all of those things you can configure via the sample management features again in through admin console. So I'll quickly run through it. So yeah, there is a dashboard available as well. I think there was a video as well I saw somewhere. Yeah. Um, which you can look at it on your own time, but good to know like okay how you manage uh, that entire sample inventory dashboard in the org. And then there are two or three different levels where you can set up your sample inventory management. You can do one in the org wide setup. Then you can configure on the profile level. Then you can also do it on the day level as well. Okay, so yeah, and then if you can also set up the rules or exceptions, so you can build an approval process like okay, if someone wants to give more samples than what is allowed, then you need to get an approval from your VP or you can configure whoever you want to get this approval from. Okay, and yeah, so there are also limits. Um, so you can have some limit templates. So you can add those templates on your org level as well as in your profile level as well as in your trader level. Um, so then, yeah, um, so you start with sample limits. You can configure those rules. I'll quickly go through those rules. Uh, so, for example, like you might want to configure some of those rules based on account segments. Like you want to provide, for example, the heart medicine that we invented or discussed a lot in last week, right? So that same medicine you can say like, okay, I want to provide this sample only to the ACPs who are specialized in cardiology department, right? So you can create those segments and then you can provide your samples only to that segment. Um, and then you can have a sample limits also on the account level. So and then yeah, if you run this, so those limits will be added to your ACPs, and then as soon as you try to get a digital signature, if it is more or exceeding the limit, it will block. So there are three different options available, if I remember correctly. One of them is block, one of them is warning, and one of them is allow and log and something in that line. But if you want to block, you just yeah block the users from giving or handing away more samples than what is allowed. Um, you can also, of course, if you configure them, you can delete those rules as well if they're not relevant anymore because that product is out of line or that uh, medicine has crossed the threshold and so on. So you can just delete them as well. And then, yeah, you can also integrate all of this, your Health Cloud to Tableau Next, which is an analytics product from Salesforce. So it is more like our standard Salesforce reporting and dashboard, but most of the features are now moving away from, let's say, standard reports and dashboard and moving towards Tableau Next because of the infusion of AI as well as Data 360. So, yeah, you can integrate your licenses cloud to Deliverist as well, which will bring Customer 360 mm, for your licenses customer as well. So yeah, Data 360 provides a standard template as well. They call it a data kit. And as soon as you install that, you will see all these entities in your data cloud org. And then you build report through a semantic layer. I don't think it's relevant for the exam point of view, but good to know. And then as soon as you have those dashboards ready in your Tableau Next, you can embed those dashboards in your home page or in your uh, ACP record page or an ACO page, and you can interact. So you can drill down on those dashboards as well. Okay, moving on. Okay, yeah, you can also configure a lot of app alerts, like so it is more like a notification on your mobile app as soon as certain activity happens in the org, and this is the preferred way of informing your customers as well, because this is really handy for them, right? So you need to divide basically how you want to inform your agents or your MSLs or CAMs on certain activities. So you can either send them email notification, or you can send some in-app alerts, or in some cases you can raise an approval request as well. But in my opinion, like, yeah, it's good to start with app alerts, because that way they are aware of certain activities. But when they need to approve and you need an audit capabilities, that okay, they were aware and they know this, that certain activities happen, then go for an upload process and so on. Then synchronize transactions manually. Yes. So yeah, on the app setting, you can sync databases, and if the background sync is active, then they can continue using the mobile as usual. So it will not block any of those mobile capabilities. But if you choose run in foreground, then the mobile device will basically freeze, and it will prioritize the activity, and it works a bit faster. But at the same time, for an agent, it might look longer, that okay, uh, because they are not able to use the mobile devices anymore. Um, yes. Then there are some key accounts you can define. So these are the long-term accounts. They're called as key accounts, and you can anticipate customer concerns or growth opportunities and resources. So you can create an account plan for them. And in those account plan, as I mentioned before, you say like, okay, these are the different products that we want to target. This will be the strategy. These are the outcomes that we want to get out of those account plan over the next 1 year. And your MSLs and CAMs will react based on that account planning, and they will look for an outcome in 3 months, 6 months, and so on. And there are a lot of different hierarchies. So your account plan can also have multi-step processes, which you will manage via your account plan hierarchies. And then you can have different tasks and visits uh, for those account plans. So you can set up recurring task, like okay, every 1 month you reach out to your ACP and see if they have any concerns, or if you can promote a new product and so on, because you already have a good relationship with those accounts. Um, yes, I will touch upon uh, best practices. Again, like Um, these are all from Salesforce provided, but you also gain a lot of best practices by doing things by yourself. So yeah, these best practices are all kind of a guideline. So it's not always required or recommended that you always do it exactly the way it is mentioned here. So yeah, take it with kind of a guideline point of view. Like most of the trigger handlers, you try to create some kind of a rule or an exception that, okay, during data migration, you disable these handlers so that your data load runs faster. And it also comes with some side hustle as well, because if your data quality is not good, it bypasses some of the best practices or the rules that are already provided by Salesforce. And then at a later point of time, users have a bad experience because the data quality is not good. and then yeah, they get an error on the screen saying like, okay, you have to correct this data, otherwise you cannot move forward, or the data is not usable for the daily purposes and so on. And most of these are handlers. So go through each one of those handlers and see what they do. For example, like contact point email populate update the healthcare provider record to maintain an accurate list of email addresses whenever yeah email address is added or removed. It makes sure it reflects the current email address on the ACP level. So yeah, there are certain setup on admin console in most of these cases. So you have to search before create general settings, so it will not create a new uh, contact point email as soon as you change or modify the email address on the ACP level. And it is more or less applicable for anything that is related to the contact point in the system. Um, yes. From healthcare provider NPI handler. So yeah, NPI is a key identifier for mostly for US, as far as I remember. Okay, sorry, I just heard a noise. Anyone has any question? Check the. If anyone has any question, just yeah, raise your hand so that I get a notification or unmute yourself is also okay. Mm, and then there are provider visit changed event. So if there are any provider visit updates, then it will also update the account data information and all the data records as well. So there are a couple of visits jobs available so that you can execute to run this. And anytime you do any of these data loads, right? So it's good to disable all these trigger handlers so that your data load job runs faster. And then you go manually and run those jobs on the loaded data set so that your data is in line with the Salesforce data model. There are a lot of them, so go through it. You don't have to remember all of them by heart, at least from the exam point of view. But whenever you get any request, what I generally prefer to do is I download a copy of the document and then I just look for um, yeah a specific job if it is available and so on and see like what exactly it means and so on. Like I mentioned before, I think like this is the namespace for the classes and then you can see like for these namespaces these are the different entities or components available in the system. Okay, and then moving on, yeah, Salesforce also releases a lot of patch releases and it gets upgrades automatically. But if it's a managed package, you have to install it from the latest link, and it can, from the practical experience, it can break some of your existing functionalities as well if you have configured and customized. So I would always recommend any of these patch releases, better to do it in the test environment first. Test all the functionalities if they're all working fine. So have let's say a test pack which validates all the key functionalities in the org. Run that test pack in the lower environment. If there is some automation, then run those automated jobs, run the test classes, and only after that uh, run or execute or upgrade it in the production environment. Moving on to clinical engagement. So yeah, for this you can set up a trial org. So you can have a learning org. This one is good. It will have some test data available as well. So if you want to uh, have a hands-on on the clinical trials, you can do it right away. So you can just yeah have a free trial org configured on for yourself, and then yeah, of course, it will be expired in 30 days, but you can have a good hands-on experience, like how you can configure different things with a real life example as well. And then here as well, like you can configure the participant management. You can have yeah, uh, the care program. I think we discussed more or less most of these topics last week as well. So you can configure a research study candidates, and the care program details in the org. And then you can also have a patient engagement. I don't think it provides an org. Let me quickly check. No, I don't think it is provided out of the box. But yeah, if you have an HDO org, you can set up all of these things in one org, which is really good. So I would always recommend to like have an HDO org enabled for you guys, and then just have some hands-on experience. Um, and then the final topic, that's around the mid-tech commercial engagement here as well. Yeah, there is a learning path as well. I think you do not get a demo org out of the box, but you can set it up in the SD org as well. Um, Let me quickly go through my notes. We discussed about territory management. Scheduling is also something that we have already discussed. Engagement we have discussed. I'll provide you this document as well. I'll create a uh, Google Drive and paste all of these documents there. Uh, LSA we discussed. Sample inventory management we discussed. Yeah. These all we have discussed as well. And yeah, there are a lot of components that are partially supported or not supported in the mobile app from the Lightning components point of view. So just have a look on all the different capabilities that are supported in mobile versus not supported in the mobile app. We also discussed about the affiliations. Yeah, which we discussed. I think more or less covered all of this topic. Yeah, yeah, some implementation. This one, complications. Yeah, cancel sync, records not found. Key terms and class array, metadata cache. Yeah, great. So here I provided some key terms and glossaries as well. So go through this as well. And many of the cases, like whenever you are talking to your customers, many of the times they just use the short terms or the medical terms for it. So it's good to know like what each of those medical terms means. Okay. Uh, yeah, I think more or less we covered all of these things. So we can take a small 5 minutes break for the final term, and then once we're back, we'll just go through some of the key exam topic, and then yeah, I have prepared some practice scenarios with help of AI, so we'll just practice those as well, some questions, so that we get some feeling like how the questions might look like during the exam. Okay, so we'll be back in 5 minutes again, guys. Okay, this will be the final state for today, and I want to touch a bit more on the exam side of it, the final stage, to give you a feeling on yeah, what kind of questions we might expect. And again, like these are all AI generated uh, things. So yeah, it basically referenced the Licenses Cloud Developer Guide and the yeah, admin setup guide, and cross-checked with the official exam outline to come up with uh, this structure. So yeah, there are the few things that you need to be aware of. Like there will be some questions around the Apex interfaces. There will be some topics around the LSC apps or the inline LWC components as well. So yeah, it's good to know that okay, those will be all part of LSC mobile inline prefix. And then of course, every time you change anything on the page layout, you need to always refresh your metadata cache, and only after that it will be available for your users when they want to use it on the mobile app. If you don't create that cache, it is not there basically. So all config changes, irrespective of what it is, like page layout, field sets, or permission updates, and so on to the mobile app, you need to do a metadata cache refresh. And then there will be multiple handlers. So every most of the objects already has a trigger created by Salesforce as part of the package, and then those triggers will always have an handler, and the behavior of those handlers can be configured from the admin console as well. And then you will also have different prompt templates, like you can create or customize AI summaries by creating new prompt template versions based on what Salesforce has already provided out of the box. Okay, and then I think I already mentioned this, like what are the automations supported, um, in desktop versus mobile, online versus mobile offline. I think one of the key things that we need to know is this illicit trigger handlers. So whatever is provided from Salesforce as part of LSC namespace, so those triggers are supported in mobile online as well as mobile offline. So they use a framework called iOS framework, I think. Uh, yeah, so there is a iOS framework, so they're allowed to work on the local devices. So that's the major difference between the Apex trigger that we generally write. So those are all supported in Salesforce server side, so not applicable or not available on the mobile app. But if uh, um, they're coming out of the box, then it follows the iOS framework and it can work on the local device as well. Um, and then, yeah, you have the key important things. So there are some Apex interfaces, as I mentioned before, right? So, for example, if you want to send some email from any third-party provider, because many of the companies do that, and Salesforce also has a limit on single email delivery and so on. So you can introduce this interface called external email handler, and this interface will have yeah, a messaging service and an email queue processor. No, sorry, those are not available. But you will have an extra email handler, and the class might look like this. So you can do a call out to an external REST API with a body and the address and so on, and then it will that email will be triggered basically. Okay, and then there are some permissions that's required as well. Uh, So you have to have access remote engagement for digital experience permission set for the guest user if they're not able to view functionalities in the system. And then you also have some medical insight platform events. There are multiple platform events available out of the box. Um, but yeah, this is one of those where you will have an medical insight handler, and yeah, as I mentioned before, right, platform events will be executed on the server side, so it will not be executed if the mobile app is in offline mode. So it has to first sync from the mobile app to the org, and if as soon as it is synced, that platform event will be triggered so that any third-party applications can hear to those platform events. And things can go wrong, right? So meaning during the sync process, maybe certain validations are not fulfilled and those are not captured locally. So every time anything fails, it will be captured in the event monitoring log from Salesforce, which is also available in the admin console, by the way. So you will see all the error logs in one consolidated place. And then, yeah, you will have some data change persona definition records for sales rep persona, which um, yeah, I'm also not sure why it has added this one. Uh, yeah, so if you want to show certain attributes to uh, this not change. Okay, okay, okay. So if you there are some cases where you don't want to change the data of an ECP or an EC immediately. So there is a second step of validations required by the data steward. So in that case, you can configure this interface, which will allow you to not apply the changes immediately. So do not changes immediately. It will create a change request in the system, data change request. And then someone is to manually validate that data if those change is valid and it's agreed upon, and only after that that change will be reflecting on the real SCP records. Moving on to LWC related topic. So yeah, there will be a LSC mobile inline prefix. So anytime you want to add um, any of the attributes on the home page or in the mobile or on the record layout page on the inline, so you have to always go for this LSC mobile inline prefix. I think I remember getting a question around this in my exam as well. Um, and yeah, you can only add uh, only one LSC app per page. Uh, and yeah, you cannot add mm, more than one LSC app per page, basically. Um, yeah, I think we discussed it quite often. Like, yeah, if a custom LWC deployed in the Lightning web page and it does not appear on the mobile app, so anything that is not appearing on the mobile app, there is only one resolution. Go to admin console, mobile, and metadata cache and create a new cache, basically. Mm, and then what are the different things that are supported on the mobile app versus mobile? So yeah, just have a view on it as well. Like custom LWCs, mobiles are more or less supported. So SQLite is not supported, but as I mentioned before, you can create a briefcase around it, and then you can support your custom LWCs. And all the custom LWC uses a GraphQL query pattern. So good to know about it when you are building anything for the mobile app on the offline capability to offline capabilities. And then yeah, you can have some provided summary customizations via prompt templates. These are all agent first related. So Salesforce provides out of the box some templates you can customize this. So you can customize the account entity summary flow and update uh, this based on uh, the customer requirement, basically the prompt templates. Moving on to admin console, many questions will have uh, this during the exam. Like you will have a lot of uh, configurations available from admin console, basically. Um, and then, in admin console, you will also get the event monitoring logs. So, so you will find them in the synchronizations transactions, and then you can filter them by statuses to identify which records got failed. And anytime something gets failed, you might want to reprocess them, and then uh, you have to correct it before you can reprocess them, basically. Then there will be some topics or some questions around territory management settings. So you have to create a inquiry sharing criteria in the territory management settings in the life science admin console. And then you will have some topics around visit administration as well, like exist a product record might exist in Salesforce but does not appear in product detailing section in the search results during visit. So you have to explicitly mention it, enable for the visit description. So you have to configure a product discussion settings in the visit administration tile in the admin console to make sure it is available for product discussion. Just moving on. And I also explained a lot around sample and inventory configurations. So you can configure them in data level as well as in org level. And of course, the data level will supersede the org level configuration. Moving on to the trigger handlers. Salesforce provide a bunch of trigger handlers. We took few of them for this. So then the affiliation reciprocal trigger handlers. So it will basically create the reverse relationship record between the new affiliations that are created. And so whenever a user creates a new affiliation, that does not auto generate the reverse affiliation record. So you have to configure this role mapping. You have to configure them in the admin console, basically. Then you have a bunch of more. There is one for case MSLQ handler. It will route the medical inquiry cases record to the MSLQ as soon as it is submitted. So when it is enabled, after a rep submits a signed inquiry, so the status has to be submitted. The case remains owned by the rep instead of being routed to the MSLQs. So in that case, you have to configure this MSLQ handler to check how that behavior should work and so on. I'm just running it through. Medical insight sharing handler. So it will share the medical insight record with other reps in the same territory. So all of them can have a view on what is exactly happening within this. I'm running it quickly. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before as well. Like, so one of the key difference between LXA triggers versus Apex trigger is it can be simulated in the iOS framework for mobile, but standard Apex triggers will not be available or run locally on the mobile app. So if they're offline, it will not execute. Only if it is syncs at that point of time, it will run those triggers, basically. Then I have created I asked AI to create kind of a cheat sheet as well. But again, like these are all AI generated content. So cross check with the official documentation, which I'll also provide in my in my drive that I'll share. And there, yeah, just refer to the official documentation because these things also change quite frequently. So this is part of Spring 26, but in the next sprint, many of these things may not be valid anymore or will be upgraded with the latest things from Salesforce. And then I'll quickly run through some of these questions so that you have a feeling like how the questions might look like. Again, like these are all Googled and with help of AI, so it may not be exactly same, but some of these questions were more or less similar to what I've seen. Yeah, we discussed it as well in our overview or in the Apex part of it, like a third-party provider you want to send, for example, MailChimp or some other email delivery tools, or maybe Marketing Cloud even from Salesforce. So in that case, it should be from LSA4C external email handler, if I'm correct. Yeah. So yeah, it is an Apex interface provided by LiveSense Cloud, and then you have to extend it or implement that class, and then this class will be called uh, during the transactions at to send the email basically. So it's good to know like how you can implement all the different handler class from this namespace so that you can extend the solution provided by LSA to your customer's need or your specific business use case. And yeah, there are some many of these practice questions. Just go through them whenever you get some time and whenever you think you're ready, so that you can get a feeling of like how the question might look like during the exam. But again, these are all AI generated content. So even if this answers says it is correct or wrong, just go through it, cross-reference against the official documentation and validate if that answer is actually correct. And this explanation is correct as well. Okay, yeah, I think that's more or less I wanted to cover today. Last 10 or 11 minutes we have. If you guys have any questions, this is the time to ask. Going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay. If there is no questions or remarks, so I'll create a Google Drive where you can find all these topics in that folder. And then, yeah, good luck with your implementation as well as the exam. Thanks, everyone. Thanks all for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.